Let me get that behind me. There. And now, my friends, we move to databases. This is databases using the Access program. The concept of databases, the topic of databases, is really important because almost every job you have now works off databases. So you need to understand the concept and the features of a database. Do you need to ever understand and use Access again? Probably not. Honestly, probably not. However, it's part of the whole Microsoft Office suite, which means that it looks, and you'll think it doesn't look alike, but it has the same kinds of features and ribbons and functions and things that the other three do. So we're going to choose some database using Access, understanding that if you do um, um, electronic medical records for medical situation, or if you're an attorney and you have your client management program, or you're a social worker and you have your client management system, or you work in the auto parts supply store and you have to look up an auto part for somebody who comes in to buy for so and so kind of a car, and you have to look it up. You work in the grocery store and somebody asks you, where can we find that particular food item? Those are all databases. Almost all jobs now use databases to function on. And so your goal in this couple of weeks here that we're doing databases is to learn the general kinds of things you will find in a database, not to memorize how to do Access. Different mindset. And don't let somebody scare you. They said, oh, Access is horrible. It's not horrible, okay? It's strange, yes. But if you have the right mindset for it, and I'll try and give you a couple of tips here, then you just chug your way through it. You'll be fine. They're going to show you in this lesson an introduction how to open the program and how to create a database table and so on. We did tables in Word. We did spreadsheets in Excel, which is a table. In PowerPoint, one of the options that you can make is a table. And okay, so we're going to do tables again in the database. And the table is the the object that holds the data. So all of the information in there is in this table. Just like in Excel, all of the actual information was in the spreadsheet, and then you can make a chart to look at it with, okay? And the chart's just a picture of the spreadsheet. So in Access, we have this table with the data, and then we have different views so we can look at it different ways and we can manipulate it and make it pretty. And so in this table view, the manipulations or the changes of views, the things that we can do are what makes the database so useful. You can make paper reports out of it. You can make forms to fill in on the screen, like you go to the doctor's office and they pull you up on the screen and you type in all the information. Those are just examples of the manipulation of the data in the table using some other object. Those are the concepts that we want to help you get out of this chapter. And they have names there. Let's go look here at the various items and then chug, chug, chug. So the table holds the data itself. And then you can have a form, which is a way to look at it on the screen. You can have a report, which is a paper printout of it. I wonder what happened to my screen here. I may have to pause this video and go chase that down. A paper report that you can print out looks different from the form to the report, but they're the same things, just one's for paper and one's for the computer. And then the thing we'll do in Access 2 is query the computer. Query is how you say it, Query, which means question. And in British English, they actually use that term query for a question. And we ask the computer, give me information about only the students at Mott who are first year students who came from Flint School District, who looks like it's still not coming, who came from Flint School District and who put down that they want to be a um, teacher in the future. And then the computer will go digging through the table of all the data and find those students and then put it either in a form or in a report so you can look at it. And now just let me pause here just a second, see if I can find that chapter. I had to go all the way back and start over. It timed out, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so here we have a table that's just about owners. The thing about a database is there will be one table for each noun. And don't say to me, oh no, English class, don't say that. A noun is a thing. So you have one table for owners, and then you have one table for patients, and here we have one table for appointments. You have one table for students, and one table for teachers, and one table for class names, and one table for books. Like that. It's the same idea, but all of the related information gets saved together. That makes sense. And then, doesn't this look like a spreadsheet? In each table, you will have columns. Remember, columns have caps and rows run across the page? Okay. So you have columns that have field names, and the field name, let me zoom in a little bit more. Let's see. Let me do this patients table. A field name is a set of information about a record is one row, and it's all of the information about one of those things, one patient. So a record is one row of information, and that's one patient. What about the patient? Well, the patient has an ID, and the patient has a name, and the patient has a type of pet, and and it has a breed, and there's an owner ID. And up here, the owner has an ID, and the owner has a first name, and the owner has a last name, and the owner has a street. So one record, here's one record about Ted Sabus, and that's one set of information about one owner. So there's one record, and here's a second record, and each record has multiple fields, and fields are little specific pieces of information about one of those whatevers that table is about. I have an owner table with multiple records about multiple owners, and each record has multiple fields about little pieces of data about that one owner. If you can get that picture in your head, then everything else works fine. But that one picture is important to get. Then let me, not to belabor this, but let's do it once more. So here we have a table of appointments. And we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 appointments here in 5 rows. A row is a record. And the owner, the dog owner, has a dog. The patients are the pets. And the owner is the person who owns one of those dogs, cats, who has an appointment to come in. So there's an appointment ID. You always have to have an ID. You always have to have an ID. It could be a social security number. It could be your birthday with your name. It could be just a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could be a part number on a car. It could be a SKU, a SKU number of a product in a store. Everything has to have a number. So you are a number, social security number. We don't use those. We don't let them out. But that used to be the standard number. I remember when at Mott, I remember when your social security number was your student number. That's long gone. Anyway, so you always have, that's called a primary key. And you have to tell the computer, in my table with all these fields, that is my primary key. If you don't tell the computer will make one of its own, but probably you want to tell the computer so you can control it. So you always have a primary key, and then you'll have these a patient ID and an appointment date and an appointment time and a treatment number. What they do, they cut their toenails or they scrub their teeth or whatever they did. Okay, and which vet did it. So we got vet number 1 and vet number 2. Now, the power of the database occurs right here because if I have say I have 3 vets. I have 3 vets in my big city. I have 3 vets and I have a table about vets. I have an owner's table. I have a vet's table that has all the information about that vet. So now when I want to say which vet was doing that one appointment, I don't want to type all that vet information again. Besides, I might make a mistake in my typing. Okay. So instead of having all that vet information one by one by one, I'll just go to my little vet table and say, oh, vet number 1 is Linda Lee Masood. So vet number 1, and I'll put the vet's number right here. And then the computer, then the access program, database program, says, oh, I see. So for this appointment, it was vet number 1 who did it, and vet number 1 is Linda Lee Masood. Now, if Linda Lee Masood changes her name or whatever information about me, I only have to change it once. I don't have to go to every vet number 1 entry in every appointment for the last 15 years and change it. I only change it once, and then it's changed for everything. That is why we use a relational database, because you relate the table. You relate the tables to each other, and you only make the change once in the table that is that thing, and that change will trickle to everybody else, to everything else. So I'm going to run a paper report today with a list of all the appointments and which appointments are for which vet. So I'm going to say vet number 1, Linda Lee Masood. Here are all the appointments, okay, that I have, and they'll come out on the piece of paper because the computer, the database program, is going to look through all the tables and collect all the information. So John Smith is going to bring Susie Q the cat. Oh, Miss Fancy. I have a friend whose cat's name is Miss Fancy Pants, who's going to bring Miss Fancy Pants at 10 o'clock to have her. Well, they don't pull out their claws anymore. Maybe they trim them. I don't know. Whatever. The fur balls. I don't know. Whatever you do for a cat, and it all prints out, gathers all the information from all the different tables and puts them in one nice report to look at. And that's the power of the database. That's why you want to learn a database concept, so you will know these things exist. What we'll do in this chapter is mostly like you print out all of the vet number 1 appointments like that, all of them. In access number 2, what we'll do is say, I don't want all of them, I only want some of them. And that's the skill we'll learn in access 2. It's a little bit different from what you've done before, but that's okay. You can do this. I mean, what are you going to college for anyway? You want to have an adventure, right? Let's go on the next page. I don't want to take too much time, but this is, if you understand this, then it's not bad at all. See, here is oh, there's a treatment cost table. So they showed this one has so many tables. Oh, there is a vet table. Looky there. I, d- I didn't look ahead. I was just thinking. But all of these tables, then you put all the data together and you can create the forms or the reports that you need. So lots of terms. It's okay. Lots of terms. Just try and go for the big concept and you'll be fine.